Hello everyone. Good morning, good evening. Onegaishimasu. Today I'll read Shokushu number 3, the way to union with Ki. The absolute universe is one, which is called Ki. My life and my body are born of the Ki of the universe. I study the principles of the universe and experience being one with the universe. What should I fear or worry for? My way is the way of the universe, that no obstacle or difficulty can impede. Let's have a strong spirit to say, I will follow the way, even if there are 10,000 opponents against me, as long as my universal conscience tells me it is right. Well, good to see you all. I hope everyone is doing very well. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about just some general things about our practice. Okay. Just about kind of the progression that our practice takes. So, okay. When we're going through this, we may feel like we're advancing, learning, growing in our understanding. And then this may happen with the more we practice, this happens with more frequency maybe. And then something may take place in our lives that shows us that we still don't get it. We still don't understand. And so we have this kind of progression and then kind of like, I don't know what's going on. And progression and I don't know what's going on. Progression, I don't know what's going on kind of thing. In other words, we're often being put back in the position of being a beginner. And so if this is happening, this is a good thing. And it's never a complete return to that first day of practice, right? We carry with us the experience and some understanding. And yet, this is how we progress, right? So often, as we understand, we may get confident. We may think, now I've got it. And this is a big mistake. What we're being taught and reminded of continuously by our lives, by the universe, is to let go of our selfish and small ways. You see? So even as we progress, it's very easy to get caught up again in these kind of selfish, we could call it that, Toi Sensei calls it that, selfish urges, thinking that we have some deep understanding. And actually we are shedding. Part of the main thing that we're doing here is shedding this kind of sense of self, right? And it's not that it goes away. It doesn't necessarily go away. It's still there as we go through years and decades of practice. It just doesn't have the same power over us. But we have to be careful, right? Because sometimes, as I said, when I said we get confident, we also may get complacent with our understanding. And so we have to be careful that we are paying attention to what the universe is trying to tell us. So even in our own sitting, maybe nothing happens, right? You may experience weeks or longer periods with no developments, nothing. And that is a good thing. I'm here to tell you that. It's okay for that to be that way. Who wants something to happen in this city, right? Do you see? It is that part of ourselves that seeks to stand out, to be special. And that is the part that we're being required to let go of. And we do this, we go through this over and over and over. So while we're sitting, whatever is happening, that is where you are in this moment. Busy mind, not busy mind, wonderful developments, nothing. All of that is telling us something about our practice and about this existence. Everything in life is always reminding us to pay attention, to take notice, to be present. And so again, if you find that there doesn't seem to be a lot going on in this sitting stuff or in my practice, that's perfectly all right. Please continue. Sometimes when we are struggling or trying to understand, that is when the biggest growth is actually taking place. And one last thing about this. I may have said this before, but I'll say it again. When we do other types of things, exercise, we try to run a half marathon or something like this, or achieve something, there's a steady, we may experience a steady progression. And it may actually become easier as we go. And the sitting practice is different than that. It doesn't necessarily get easier as we go. It might for some people. It remains a challenge. And yet, that is what we need, right? That is why it's unique and beneficial, is because it remains a challenge, even if we've been doing it for over 20 years. This is a good thing, because we constantly need those reminders in our life. All right, so having said that, let's do our sitting practice. We'll start with some key breathing, then we'll do key meditation and mind-body meditation. We'll begin with key breathing. All right. So I spoke about the general progression of our practice, how that works or may appear to work for us. Maybe you have a comment you'd like to share, some question regarding the practice, regarding your sitting.
Hello, Sensei.
Oh, hi, Vernon. Good to see you.
Hey. Um, this progression of our practice, I see it in um, my daily life. And as I practice a new activity, although uncertainty of perfecting it doesn't come right away, but I stick with it and it becomes a way of life. And the perfection of doing better every time I do it, a skill, it becomes that comfortable and the uncertainty becomes certain.
Hmm. Thank you for sharing that. Well, I think if I understand you correctly, persistence is a very important part, right? Of course, in learning a skill, we need to persist, we need to practice, we need to spend time, and we do need to persist in this practice. Things will come up, and our own habitual patterns will often try to push us away from the practice. I'm talking about this practice specifically. And yet that persistence, it's what gets us through those difficult moments, right? And if we're paying attention, if we're mindful, which comes with time, we'll start to see those habitual patterns for what they are. It's ego trying to get its way. So, and another thing of what you were just saying, so one of the things we do learn, say when we're holding Bokken, which we do, we practice in the park every week, cutting Bokken, is to, for instance, to hold more lightly, to be more relaxed. And any skill, I think will probably find that this applies, right? Whether it be scuba diving in your case, or playing an instrument, or any of these things, relaxation helps us in our progression, right? So these things are working together, I think. So thank you for your comment.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
Anyone else?
Good morning, Sensei. How are you?
Hello, Riesler Sensei. I'm good.
So what this brought up in your discussion brought up in me is that opinion muscle that I have. I have a very big opinion muscle where if my opinion is affirmed, it gets a little stronger. And if my opinion is rejected, it's kind of like it gets very tense. So this practice, has allowed me to learn to recognize my opinion muscle and relax it quite a bit. How do you handle that opinion muscle there, Sensei.
Oh, well, that was, I like the way you put that. Let me just say that first. I'd never heard it put in this way, so that's wonderful. Thank you. You know, there's a part of me I will share with everybody that finds, I mean, we find winning an argument, we find winning a fight very satisfying. And of course, this can really take us down that, what you're talking about, this opinion muscle getting stronger. And on the other hand, that sense of, say, when the opinion muscle isn't satisfied, when we relent on an argument, when we back off of a confrontation, sometimes we may feel like this kind of sense of anguish or something like this. But this, you know, I don't see it myself that way anymore. It's more like just this kind of burning feeling. And you know, I guess in the early days and before my training, this was, it was an agonizing experience. And now I recognize it very differently as something, you know, it's like the ego is getting burned off just a little bit there. And you ask me how I handle it. It's to experience those kind of things in a different way than I used to. So winning an argument, it doesn't feel good anymore. And you know, I mean, there is still that part. That part of me is still there. It doesn't go away. It's just has a little less control over my life than it used to. And so I can sense it. But yeah, this is part of this constant work that we're doing, right? It's that gratification, that ego gratification. It's very seductive, and then that sense of loss, of heartbreak that I think everybody has felt. Everybody here has felt it at some point, in some situation, is really valuable. And I don't know if I'm answering how I handle it, but that's what I recognize in it these days. So, thank you very much for that opinion.
Yeah, thank
So I'll
you.
have to remember that. Well, I see we've reached our time here. I don't know if everybody received the email from Curtis Sensei that he sent yesterday, so I'll just share that it looks like he's completed his treatment, which is really very, very good news for all of us. And so his voice is he's still working on strengthening his voice, but he's assuring us that he'll be returning soon to the teaching. And so we're very much looking forward to that. And I just wanted to share that in case anybody here didn't receive that message. So it's really good news. Thank you all for sharing this hour. I do appreciate it. Thank you for supporting me and for supporting each other. Domo arigatou gozaimashita. Aloha.